A powerful future also lay ahead for the swastika banner carried by the Nazis when they stormed the town hall. Known as the blood flag, it would, at rallies and parades to come, touch and consecrate the standard of each passing unit. Adolf Hitler, personally channeling the flow of power from the swastika made sacred by the blood of Nazi martyrs.
When we return, we'll meet the occultists in Hitler's entourage who assisted his rise to power.
Hitler's involvement in the occult may have been profoundly influenced by the occult beliefs of some of his closest associates. Rudolf Hess had been with Hitler at the attempted coup. Both were convicted of treason and imprisoned at Landsberg Fortress. It was here that Hitler began the book that would in effect become the Nazi Bible. Mein Kampf, My Struggle. Hitler dictated while Hess typed the Führer's words. But Hess may have made an even more significant contribution to Hitler's career.
The occult groups that began in the late 19th century all talked about the coming of a Messiah. And it very likely was Hess who suggested to him that he could now become the Messiah that everybody was waiting for.
Hitler was released from Landsberg at the end of 1924. Hess, who would become deputy Führer, was let out a few months later. By then, Hitler had begun creating a new paramilitary unit separate from the existing brown-shirted stormtroopers. The stormtroopers were loyal to the party, but this new group, distinguished by its black uniforms, swore personal allegiance to Hitler. It was the Schutzstaffel, the SS. The SS would later be as notorious for its occult orientation and practices as it was feared for the torture and murder it committed. Its leader, carefully chosen by Hitler, was Heinrich Himmler.
Himmler was very much into the occult, and I think he did try to persuade Hitler to get involved too. Now Himmler believed that Hitler was a reincarnation of various old warriors and kings.
Consumed by Aryan myth, Himmler sought SS officers whose pure Aryan descent dated back at least 175 years. Another of Himmler's occult beliefs was that children conceived in Nordic cemeteries inherited the spirits of the heroes buried there. He later published lists of suitable cemeteries for breeding. Himmler's training of the SS was steeped in secret ritual conducted at an ancient castle. The main hall held a royal round table decorated with swastikas. Beneath the hall was a crypt that Himmler envisioned would one day contain 12 pedestals to support urns filled with the ashes of SS heroes destined for worship.
A lot of occult entered into the induction ceremony. They were, after all, inducted into an elite order on the model of the Teutonic orders of the Middle Ages. That's very important for the occult, by the way, that past and present are telescoped, as it were. Himmler believed in secret sciences. On the one hand, you would say it's all very bizarre, but on the other hand, he was an organizational genius.
One of Hitler's own greatest strengths was about to emerge with renewed, overwhelming force. After his release from prison, Hitler, always a dynamic speaker, had been forbidden to address mass meetings. Allowed to resume public speaking in March of 1927, Hitler seemed endowed with even greater authority and charisma. This may have been due to the influence of a third occult associate, a mysterious figure named Erik Jan Hanusson, a professional stage magician who was also known as a seer and psychic. Hanusson helped Hitler perfect a series of exaggerated poses, especially effective in an era when huge audiences could not see a celebrated speaker at close range.
He'd been a master of persuasive speech before he met Hanusson, but Hanusson taught him a great deal about showmanship.
Occultists believe Hanusson may have also imparted occult techniques of mind control and crowd domination. The brutal truth may be that crowds simply liked what Hitler was saying. Germans, still humiliated by defeat and impoverished by economic chaos, felt victimized and abused. Hitler's unvarying message was that Germany had been repeatedly betrayed. The enemy was always the same, always the Jews. Underlying this economic and political appeal was the occult doctrine that Jews were inferior, subhumans, the inherent foe of the Aryan race. Hitler supported his passionate message with a series of adroit political moves, playing rival factions against each other. Although the Nazis did not achieve an electoral majority, they became so powerful that, in January of 1933, Hitler was offered the chancellorship. He accepted. The triumph was acclaimed in a torchlight celebration of the kind the Nazis had perfected. These rallies, always exalting Hitler and the swastika, would become a staple of life in Germany. The thrill of those mass meetings was strong enough to lure even a young Jewish boy to witness their power.
I myself, when I was 15, I went out of the house illegally. My family wouldn't have approved of it, and went to a Hitler meeting. And I was carried with it. Because first of all, you are in a crowd which all do the same things. They raise their arm, they shout the slogans, and you are caught up by that, yes? And second of all, he had this kind of charisma.